In ancient times, on the outskirts of a quiet town, an ascetic sadhu lived in his small hut. He remained absorbed in devotion to God all day and sustained his life with whatever dry and rough food he received in alms. His life was very contented and free from worry. But one day during meditation, an unnecessary worry arose in his mind. He thought, "Today I am healthy, but when I become old and weak, who will serve me? How will food be arranged in old age?" This feeling of insecurity shook his detachment. Therefore, to secure his future, he started hoarding the extra grain received in alms. Gradually, a pile of grain accumulated in the hut. The smell of that collected grain attracted rats. In no time, the rats created havoc in his hut. They would not only contaminate the food but also gnaw at the sadhu's clothes. The sadhu's sleep was ruined, and his attention shifted from worship to driving away the rats. The sadhu shared his problem with the villagers. People advised that the best cure for rats is a cat. The sadhu found this suggestion appropriate, so he kept a cat to drive away the rats. With the arrival of the cat, the rats fled, but now a new problem arose. The cat needed milk to survive. The sadhu could not go to the village every day to beg for milk, so the sadhu decided to keep a cow. With the arrival of the cow, the cat got milk, and the sadhu also got fresh milk to drink. But taking care of the cow was no easy task. Bathing it, bringing fodder, and cleaning the dung, the sadhu's entire day was spent in all these tasks. He could no longer find time for evening prayers and meditation on God. When the sadhu told his grief to his well-wishers, they said, "Maharaj, how will you do all this alone? You need an assistant. If you get married, your wife will manage the house and the cow, and you will be able to worship without worry." The sadhu felt that this argument was correct, so he got married. With the arrival of the wife, the house became organized. As time passed, they had children, and slowly that ascetic sadhu became a completely worldly householder. He forgot why he had started all this in the first place. Years passed. The sadhu was now truly old. One day he was lying on his cot when he saw that some rats were gnawing at clothes in the corner of the house. His young son came there and said with annoyance, "Father, these rats have caused a lot of trouble. I am thinking that we should keep a cat to drive away the rats." As soon as he heard the word, cat, from his son's mouth, the sadhu was struck with a sudden realization. It was as if a veil had been lifted from before his eyes. He remembered his past, how a small thought of saving grain and then a cat dragged him away from detachment and pushed him back into the same swamp of the world that he had left in his youth. He understood that even a small attachment is enough to bind a human being in a very large bondage. This is not just a story, but a depiction of the weakness of the human mind. It teaches us the same ultimate truth that Lord Sri Krishna explained to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Warning about the dominance of the senses and the wandering of the mind, the Lord says, "Yatto hyapi kwante purushase vipaschita. Indriyani pramathini haranti prasbhammana." Sri Krishna says, "O Arjuna, even the mind of a wise man who is trying to destroy attachment is forcibly carried away by these churning, powerful senses." Just as the sadhu, despite being wise, fell into the greed for security and comfort. This fall of the sadhu did not happen suddenly, but it started with the contemplation of objects, Vishayachintan. This process has been explained very deeply in the Gita. Dhyayato vishyanpuksah sangaste shubjayate. Meaning, by constantly thinking about objects or material pleasures, man develops an attachment to them. This attachment gives birth to desire, and ultimately, this becomes the main cause of suffering and bondage. Therefore, to live a happy and free life, a human being should always be careful about his thoughts, his desires, and small attachments.